right, welcome to this explainer where we're going to dive headfirst into the ultimate financial dilemma for everyday consumers, leasing versus buying a vehicle. If you've ever sat in a dealership staring at two wildly different sets of numbers, sipping on that terrible complimentary coffee, and just feeling completely overwhelmed by the whole shebang, you are exactly in the right place. Today, we're breaking down the actual math to give you a definitive answer on how to navigate this whole decision. So let me ask you right off the bat, which do you think costs more, leasing a car or buying one? It's one of those questions that just sparks endless debate. Most people instantly assume buying costs way more, simply because those monthly loan payments are so much higher. But then you've got the other side of the spectrum, the financial gurus who will practically yell from the rooftops that leasing is a complete and total ripoff and you should absolutely always buy. But here's the thing, they aren't exactly right either. The reality here, both the dealership pushing that super low monthly payment and the financial gurus preaching rigid, inflexible rules are wrong. The truth is, there's no universal one-size-fits-all answer. It actually depends entirely on 5 specific factors in your own life. And getting those factors wrong, well, that could literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the next decade without you even realizing it. So today, we're going to build a really clear framework so you can figure out exactly which option wins for your unique situation. Okay, let's move right into Section 1, the secret nobody tells you about cars. Before we even look at a single monthly payment or interest rate, we absolutely have to talk about the massive hidden cost that fundamentally changes this entire conversation. And that cost is depreciation. Cars are depreciating assets. This isn't like buying a house that generally goes up in value over time. The exact second you sign that paperwork and drive your shiny new car off the dealership lot, it loses roughly 10 to 15% of its value. Poof, just gone. Most folks obsess over the monthly payment, but the true underlying cost of owning any car, whether you lease it or buy it, is depreciation, plus your interest and operating costs. And notice just how incredibly fast that drop happens. Let's say you buy a brand new $40,000 car. By the end of year 1, you're already down about $8,000 in value. By year 3, that car has lost up to $18,000 in value. To put that into perspective, that is $16,000 to $18,000 of your hard-earned cash that is just evaporated into thin air. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding how you actually end up paying for that drop in value. Because trust me, neither side escapes depreciation. When you lease a car, you're explicitly paying for that steep drop in value, that specific $16,000 to $18,000 drop over those 3 years, plus a tidy little profit margin for the dealer. But when you buy, yes, you pay for all of the depreciation over your entire ownership period. But the massive game changer is that you also get to keep the remaining resale value when you eventually go to sell it. Which brings us nicely to Section 2, the real numbers side by side. Let's actually look at the math. Let's put a typical $40,000 mid-size sedan head-to-head. Think along the lines of a Toyota Camry XSE or maybe a Honda Accord Sport. Here's where the numbers really tell the true story. Look at option A, a 36-month lease. You put $2,500 down, pay about $460 a month, and over 3 years, you pay roughly $19,000. And what do you own at the end of all that? Absolutely zero, nothing. If you decide to lease again for another 3 years, you've now shelled out nearly $40,000 over 6 years, and you still own nothing. Now check out option B, buying with a 60-month loan. You put $4,000 down, and yeah, your payment is way higher at roughly $713 a month. Over 5 years, you pay out $46,800. It definitely feels heavier on the wallet, right? But at year 5, that car has a resale value of $18,000 to $20,000, meaning your net cost is really around $27,000. And here is where the mathematical magic of buying really happens, years 5 and 6. Because once that 60-month loan is totally paid off, your monthly car payment drops to exactly $0. You are officially driving for free, paying only for the cost of gas, insurance, and your routine maintenance. Over a 6-year period, your actual cash out of pocket between leasing and buying is in the exact same ballpark. But the buyer has an asset sitting in their driveway worth roughly $18,000, while the leaser, well, they have to start all over again from scratch. Now, to be completely impartial here, we do have to look at the honest counterpoint to buying. Those higher monthly loan payments, they definitely hurt your current cash flow. The difference between a $713 loan payment and a $460 lease payment is $253 a month. If a super disciplined renter took that $253 of monthly savings and invested it at a 7% return, they would accumulate about $18,000 over those same 5 years. So the opportunity cost of buying is very, very real. It's not just a perfectly clean universal win for buying. Context is everything. And because context matters so much, let's jump into Section 3, the 5 factors that actually decide it. Since there's no single winner, let's look at the lifestyle filters that should dictate your personal path. Factor number 1 is probably the most immediate filter. How many miles are you actually driving every year? Leases strictly cap you, typically at around 10 to 12,000 miles annually. And if you go over that, you are facing steep penalties, often 15 to 25 cents per extra mile. If you're driving 18,000 miles a year, you're looking at up to $1,500 in penalties annually. So if you've got a long commute or you just live in a really spread out area, leasing is a total financial trap, buying one's that are one by default. Moving on to factor 2, how long do you actually keep your cars? You've got to be totally honest with yourself here. If you're someone who always gets the itch for a new ride and you end up trading in your car every 2 or 3 years anyway, leasing actually makes a lot of sense. Why? Well, because if you buy and trade in that quickly, you're eating the absolute worst depreciation years and taking a massive loss on the trade-in. A lease simply builds that rapid turnover right into the structure. But on the flip side, if you hold onto your vehicles for 6, 7, or even 10 years, buying is dramatically cheaper per year of use. Factor 3, are you self-employed or running a business? And this right here brilliantly illustrates how the rules completely change depending on who you are. It shifts the math entirely. If you use a vehicle for business, lease payments can often be deducted as a straightforward business expense. That essentially means the government is effectively subsidizing part of your vehicle payment. So if you own a business, leasing instantly becomes significantly more attractive once you factor in that sweet tax treatment.
Factor 4, can you actually afford to buy? Again, brutal honesty is required here, folks. If buying a car requires you stretching your budget for a sky-high loan payment that completely drains your emergency fund, maxes out your credit, or causes dangerous financial strain every month, then buying is simply not the smart move. Your financial stability matters way more than which option looks theoretically optimal on a spreadsheet. A manageable, lower lease payment on a reliable car is actually much more financially responsible than taking on a stressful loan you can barely service.
And finally, factor 5, how much do you value absolute reliability and having all the new tech? With a leased car, you're always covered under warranty. You are literally never going to face a surprise $3,000 transmission repair out of nowhere. Plus, you always have the absolute latest safety features, the newest infotainment systems, and the best fuel efficiency. For some people, that genuine peace of mind and that absolute reliability floor is entirely worth paying a premium for. For others, it's just a luxury they don't really need. All right, that brings us to Section 4, the option nobody talks about. Up to this point, we've been strictly comparing leasing a brand new car to buying a brand new car. But there is a massive wildcard alternative out there. It's the option nobody really wants to talk about while you're sitting at the shiny new dealership, but it's the one that almost always dominates in pure financial terms. I am talking about buying a used car, specifically one that's about 2 to 4 years old. Let's look at exactly why this works so well. Remember that brutal first-year depreciation hit we talked about earlier? When you buy a 3-year-old car, someone else has already paid for it. A 3-year-old version of our $40,000 Camry might only cost you around $24,000 to $26,000. You're snagging the exact same vehicle with the bulk of that terrible depreciation already absorbed for a mere fraction of the original cost. Now, let's do a quick reality check on this option just to be fair. Buying used consistently delivers the lowest total cost per year of any option out there. You get all the benefits of lower depreciation and a much smaller loan. However, you do trade away the original manufacturer's warranty, which means having a solid emergency fund for random repairs is absolutely critical. And you absolutely must get a strict pre-purchase inspection by an independent mechanic. But if you're willing to do that little bit of legwork, buying used basically outperforms both leasing and buying new over a 10-year horizon every single time. So, let's wrap this all up in Section 5, how to actually decide. To make sure you walk into that dealership totally empowered and completely clear-headed, we've distilled all of this down into a really practical 3-step checklist. Step 1, calculate your exact annual mileage. Go look at your oil change receipts from a year ago, or track your daily commute. If you're clocking over 15,000 miles, leasing is just off the table. Step 2, calculate the true total cost of ownership over multiple cycles. Seriously, stop comparing monthly payments. Add up all your lease cycles versus buying. Make sure to add in down payments and subtract estimated resale values. And step 3, if you happen to run a business, do not just guess on the tax implications. Consult a professional CPA to see if business tax deductions shift the math heavily in favor of a lease for you. Now, if you run through those 3 steps, you look hard at your lifestyle, and the numbers are still incredibly close, here is the absolute ultimate tiebreaker. The smartest move for the vast majority of people is simply this: buy a reliable, slightly used car, something about 2 to 3 years old, drive it into the ground for the next 8 to 10 years, and redirect all that money you would have spent on endless monthly car payments into building real, actual wealth.
Look, transportation is the second biggest expense in most households. Getting this decision right can free up hundreds of dollars a month, which, over a decade, that is truly life-changing money. So as you look at the numbers for your own life, I really want to leave you with one final critical question to ask yourself. What is your true goal here? Is it simply having the lowest monthly payment today, or is it having the lowest impact on your long-term wealth? Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for joining us on This Explained.